Sorry about that. Like I was saying, last year I believed the Yankees would go to the World Series because when healthy, I thought that they had the best roster. To me, that changed because of how great the Astros bullpen has been. But, they definitely have a chance. People were afraid that injuries early on would mean this team would fade, but that hasn't happened. Part of me believes the injuries in the outfield were a blessing in disguise. We got to see just how good of a major leaguer Clint Frazier would be. He's been a major leaguer for a while now. He just, I don't know, they just they couldn't really get him in there, and I feel like they believed in Brett Gardner for a little bit too long. I feel like that lineup should have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Hicks, and Clint Frazier in it. But of course, they're gonna hold on to Gardner, but I believe this is it. I know there are questions about Clint Frazier's character and his maturity level, but I'm not going to excuse him for it. But his bat shouldn't be questioned. The Yankees need to find a way to get him in the lineup every day, even when completely healthy. But they need to get their rock back. Didi, regardless of if he, comes out firing, if he's having a great start off his injury, his presence in the lineup and out in the field is big for the Yankees moving forward. I cannot help but bring up Jason Vargas today. Has anyone noticed just how good this veteran left-hander has been? Despite all the noise surrounding this team, and I am definitely one of these people, despite all the noise surrounding this team and this guy, whether it was last season or this season, warranted or not, he's been able to figure it out. Not only has he been good enough to stick in this rotation, he's arguably been the New York Mets' best guy. Now, first of all, let that sink in for a second. Because a rotation with, that consists of guys like Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Steven Matz, and Zach Wheeler. Jason Vargas has arguably been their best guy this season. Especially definitely lately. I'd swear you were on drugs if you told me that would be the case before this season started. His start against the Dodgers was fantastic. I brought that up last week. I wanted to see how he would follow that up. How about a complete game shutout against the Giants? Now, I know the Giants don't have much of an offense, but to do that in LA and then come back and throw a complete game shutout at Citi Field, pretty impressive. I was there, I was in shock, and I was in awe. A guy who was so hittable still appears to be so hittable. Guy throws an 83-mile-an-hour fastball at 36 years old. Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez once said, more recently, this was a month and a half, 2 months ago, they're allowing him to pitch into the fifth inning tonight. This is a guy he's struggled, they were like, okay, if he pitches, if he gets through 4 or 5 good innings, we're going to pull him. Now he's going 8 and 9. He's going into the 8th and 9th inning. Jason Vargas. Flat out sensational. The Mets bullpen has been awful. ERA in double digits in their last 9 games. But how do you mask that? Like I've been trying to say, when your starting pitching goes deeper into ball games. Zach Wheeler and Jason Vargas have done that. I feel like Zach Wheeler goes 7 innings just about every start now. He wasn't always that guy. He was the kind of guy who would throw 4 or 5 innings. He would be like a 5-inning pitcher. Because the thing is, he would throw too many pitches and he'd be taken out. But Zach Wheeler has matured so much as a starting pitcher. He's getting through 7 innings now. And that's the way when everybody talks about the bullpen and how bad the bullpen is, when it comes to pretty much every team, you need your starting pitching to be able to get into the 6th, 7th, 8th innings. You need that. And I know everybody said, it's pitch count. You can go you can throw 100 pitches in 7 innings. There's no reason you can't. Now you have to be a little bit more mechanical, but yeah, you have to pitch to some contact, but you can get through 7 innings and throw 105 pitches. If anything, that's better. I mean, 5-6 innings isn't enough when your bullpen, isn't all that good. It's not all that deep. And the same guys can't go out there every day. The Mets have about 3 guys out there that can be decent in the bullpen. You can't use those guys every day. You can't use Diaz in every game. You can't use Familia in every game. And you can't use Lugo in every game. Those kinds of things are going to happen. Those guys are going to start to fall apart. If this team is going to be successful, they need the top 2 guys, Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom, to follow suit of Zach Wheeler and Jason Vargas, give them consistency, and pitch like they can. What a week it's been for the Philadelphia Phillies and their fans. I mean, when you lose a big free agent pickup who had gotten off to a great start at the top of the lineup, and a great character veteran guy in Andrew McCutchen, to a season-ending ACL tear, that's a big blow to a team fighting to win a division. Then you sign another veteran in Jay Bruce, who's been searching for his place, really. I mean, ever since he left Cincinnati, has he really been home? Has anyone really been like, Jay Bruce is a top player? Like, he could be an all-star caliber player? Not really. Like, he had his moments with the Mets, but he struggled for the most part. He went to Seattle and just struggled with consistency. Like, he was hitting for some power, but he didn't hit for any average. I think he hit like 180. Then you land in a golden situation in Philadelphia. But since he's arrived, 5 for 11, 3 home runs including a grand slam, and 7 RBIs. Bruce is making the Mets organization look awfully foolish right now. I mean, I heard it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about like the trade that they made. That is always going to be brought up because a lot of the fan base is salty losing Jared Kelenic to begin with in the Robinson Cano Edwin Diaz deal. I mean, Cano has been a disaster. Like, I was thinking to myself, like, last year, Robinson Cano, he played well when he came back from the suspension. He did. Like, that was where I was thinking, okay, does he have anything left in the tank? And he played well coming off the suspension. He hit over 300. Thinking if he can give you a 280 average, and he could give you 70 to 80 RBIs. I mean, it's just give you something. Give you like a good player. Nothing great. He wasn't going to be an all-star. But the fact that he's been as bad as he has been, Jay Bruce has actually performed pretty well. I mean, he hasn't been great, but he's been a lot better than Robinson Cano. Obviously you get Edwin Diaz in the deal, and that's great. But they could have just signed Craig Kimbrell. It's just you could have had McNeil playing second base, Jay Bruce in the outfield with Michael Conforto, and they could have just put Jeff McNeil at second base, and then they could have signed Craig Kimbrell to close. There's a lot, and then they could have just kept Kelenic. That was one thing that you're hearing a lot of, is that they didn't necessarily need to make that trade. At the time, I'm thinking, if you could get like a solid player in Robinson Cano, you solidify second base, and you can move Jeff McNeil around. I also didn't know how good McNeil was going to be. He's been fantastic. And I'm thinking, Cano is going to outperform Jay Bruce right away. That's what I was assuming. And they were getting an all-star closer. And they don't even know what Kelenic is going to be. So to be honest, that was my mindset. I thought the Mets were getting better now. But there are flaws in that trade that are really, this is called hindsight is 2020. On second thought, like that's probably, Jay Bruce has done almost as much in his first 3 days in Philly as Cano has the entire season in New York. I still believe that trade looked good at the time, but all people care about are the end results. And those do not look good right now. I'm not going to lie to you. So speaking of Craig Kimbrell, everybody was waiting for the giant free agent dominoes to go down. Both of them have, very quickly by the way. Craig Kimbrell, who is the best closer since Mariano Rivera, and deserved to get his big contract, has signed with the Chicago Cubs for 3 years, $45 million. This is a massive steal for a Cubs team who is in desperate need of a closer. I've been pretty vocal when it comes to Chicago being the perfect fit for Kimbrell, because waiting on Brendan Morrow, who at this point may never be back, and even when he does come back, do you know what you're going to get from him? When you're a talented team like the Cubs, who have great players up and down the lineup, Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, Chris Bryant, you look at Wilson Contreras, they have all this talent in their lineup. Jason Hayward. And you have a good rotation. John Lester, Kyle Hendricks, Jose Quintana, Cole Hamels. I mean, even Yu Darvish, if he's not walking the ballpark. If you have all that, and your bullpen stinks, you need a closer. If anything else, you need a closer. A real closer. A guy you can go to late in big September and October games and say, take us there. Because the regular season and the postseason, especially a team that is striving to go to the World Series, when you don't have that guy, when you don't have a closer like that, you're going to melt down in those spots. Not everybody is built to be a big game closer. It's just, you're just not built for it. You could be one of the best relievers in all of baseball. If you're not a closer, if you're not that guy, if you don't have that cutthroat mentality, you're not going to survive October. Chicago has been disappointing to me since their World Series win in 2016. They've been pretty